Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. I'll be creating a sample for a project for my beginning art students. I'm using Canson Mixed Media 98-pound 11 by 14 sketchbook. I'm using the modified contour drawing method to create the sample. I'm concentrating on the main features of the face while drawing. This video is sped up for recording purposes, but there is a section of the video where you'll be able to see me draw at regular speed. I'm using myself as inspiration for this particular project. I'm looking at a mirror, but you can also use your selfies or pictures around your house. I also like looking at portraits in magazines. The modified contour drawing method gives you an illustrative, sometimes cartoonish drawing, and I really like that. You begin your drawing at any point of the face. For this project, I drew the whole face using a continuous line. In other words, once I started the drawing, I didn't stop. I'm concentrating on the edges of my hair, and I'm mostly looking at the mirror and not my drawing. This is why some of the features look a little off. You're not really going for realism. You're going for fluid, illustrative lines. I'm also going back over some of the lines I've already created because I want some weight difference in my line. And I'm adding some extra lines to create shapes within my drawing. This will give you an opportunity to add watercolor and designs later in the project. You can use a variety of materials to create these drawings. I'm using Pigma's Micron pens. Once I've completed the first phase, I go on to the second one. I'm going to create it the exact same way I created the first one. I've decided to draw it at an angle to add interest to my piece. I start off in the eyes just like I did the first one and create this drawing in a continuous line. As I draw the second face, I make it a point to layer on top of the first one. I want to create lines that intersect the lines of the first face that I drew. This will give me a place to add watercolor and designs later in the project. Once I've completed the first two faces, I move on to the third one. This particular face I saw in a magazine. I was really intrigued by it. Just like I did with the first two, I'm also going to overlap this third face, making sure that the lines are also layered on top of the first two faces. And now the fourth and final face. I decided to draw it upside down. If you'll notice, this portion of the video is in real time. I'm drawing slowly because I'm concentrating on looking at my mirror and not my paper. I'm going to continue to layer my lines and overlap my lines over the first three faces. It's almost time to move on to the next step. Once the drawing is complete, I begin to add watercolor to my piece. I want this to be a colorful project, so I'm going to use a variety of colors from my watercolor palette. For this project, I'm using the Easy Lift Artist Semi-Moist Watercolors from Soho, but really any brand will do. So I'm trying to keep a balanced composition. So if I use yellow on the left, I'm going to add yellow on the right, blue on the bottom, I'm going to use it on the top. I haven't really pre-planned what colors I'm going to use. I'm going to experiment a little bit. This can be a little scary at times, but it's just a sample, so I'm going to allow myself to play. I've decided to add watercolor to the background, and I'm going to continue to experiment with the colors I'm using. I really like the way the watercolor portion came out, but I'm going to continue to experiment. For the next portion, I'm going to use Sharpie markers, using a variety of colors to add designs, to add patterns throughout the faces. Yes, it's also a very scary part, and no, I haven't planned any of it. I'm going to limit how many patterns I use because this is a project for my beginning art students. So I'm going to limit myself to just having circles, squares, dots, and lines throughout the drawing. I'm also going to try and remind myself to not add too many patterns because I don't want the faces to disappear. I still want them to be the focal point of this project. You can use stencils to create patterns. You can freehand patterns. I'm also making it a point to make the patterns go across the faces from one end to the next. By doing so, I'm going to unify the design. I'm also adding patterns that seem to be behind the faces. This way my drawing will have a sense of layers. A background, a midground, and a foreground. I'm also using Sharpies of a variety of colors, but I'm limiting myself to the colors that I already used in my watercolor. If I use too many colors, the piece might become a little too busy. So I'm trying very hard to stay within the same palette that I used with the watercolor. I'm also using patterns in the backgrounds because I want to unify the background to the four faces. There really is no right or wrong to how many patterns you use or how many colors you use. It's really all about personal choice. I'm going to start filling out areas of the faces. I'm going to add patterns and colors in different areas. I really like the way the faces look, so I'm going to try and limit how much color and how much pattern I add to them. I continue to add patterns and colors throughout the drawing. And then the hardest part is knowing when to stop. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this project as much as I did. And here's the final piece. Please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more videos on art demos and some of my personal work. Thank you.